All right, welcome to TexAgs Rewind, everybody. Ryan Brauninger sitting in for David Nuno today. Really busy show. Started with a go hour, as always, Olin Buchanan. We welcomed in Texas A&M baseball coach Michael Earley. Had a lot of good things to say about the offseason additions for Texas A&M, both via the transfer portal and the high school ranks. Jason Howell on the show, Brandon Leone on the show. Got to talk to Ashton Funk, Texas A&M, longtime Texas A&M commit, about his preparations there for his senior season at Katy Tompkins, and then had CT, Chris Taylor, former Texas A&M wide receiver, on the show. A lot of football discussion as we went throughout the day, and a lot of silliness with Olin Buchanan, as I feel like often happens when I'm in the host chair and Olin decides it's like substitute teachers in. He's going to behave poorly. But you guys know Olin. You know how he goes. Here's the rewind. We're talking about how much of a big deal it is that you got Jace Lavalette to school, but that doesn't guarantee you anything.
Right.
And here we are 12 months later, and he's essentially going to be the face of the program for the next 2 years.
Right.
So what is the next step in Jace's development for you as his hitting coach and really as his outfield coach too? But, like, where does he go? Like, where does he get better?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for Jace is, we made some major changes to him after LSU. Mm-hmm. I think the stats, I'm close on these, but after LSU, he was hitting 220, I think, with 4 or 5 home runs.
Yeah.
And that's about mid-season, right? Or pretty close to it, starting in the SEC. So made some big changes to him, really spread him out, limited some movement. Now he gets to go with that into a whole fall, into a whole spring, into a whole summer, into a whole season. Mm-hmm. I think just from a consistency piece of what he's doing. I mean, you know as well as I do how talented he is. And being able to stick with one style of hitting for that amount of time, I really think is going to help him. And for Jace, he has that beauty of exit velocity. We don't practice it.
Right.
I never say, Jace, hit this ball at the tee as hard as you can. It's not something that's trained. He walked in the door with it. Now as his bat to ball picks up, it's like a math equation.
Right.
As many as you hit, he hits them harder than anyone else. Harder you hit them, usually equals hits, home runs,
farther they go.
Farther they go.
Well, and to I think to a certain extent, it's a similar progression for Ryan Targach, who's been here longer. But again, if you get Targach bat to ball, if it goes up, you saw what he did the last month of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I believe in Targo as much as anyone. I'm so excited to have him back for this year. Mm-hmm. He's excited too. Obviously, he had the great year in 2022, and last year was not what he wanted, but he showed flashes of it. And it's baseball. Like, there are no guarantees in baseball, especially on the offensive side.
My comparison with Ruben is he's like a blend, like he's big, like Isaiah Spiller was coming out, but they're not the same kind of back. His running style reminds me, and this is going to make people like, oh, you can't put that comparison on, but his running style reminds me of Adrian Peterson. I'm not saying he's Adrian Peterson, but when you look at
runs hard.
Yeah, when you look at his gait, like in the open field, it's going to be kind of high and high need, just real similar running styles to me. So obviously he's a 5-star, and you attach that label to somebody for a reason. And what I've been encouraged about, Brandon, with him is like the early returns on him in the weight room, in the conditioning, in the classroom. Like, you can't reach, and you know this as good as anybody because of the stuff that you went through in college, you can't reach your full potential as a player without all that other stuff being taken care of.
No, you can't. You got to be a holistic student athlete, right? I mean, everything about you has to be. And I can tell you this, just as a confession, I've failed the university because whenever I was here, I didn't approach it like that. I think the thing that messed me up, and looking back on it now, seeing my teammates that were extremely successful, the Terrence Murphys, the Red Bryants, these guys approached it like a professional. I mean, they were in class. They were in study hall. They were working out. They were doing extra things. They were where they said they were going to be. I was one of those kids that just kind of got caught up in the moment and was just kind of going through a lot. And so I wasn't studying the playbook extra like I should have. And it showed. If I got put in the moment at times in practice and the time was there to shine, I was thinking. Yeah. And so these guys that do the hard work in the gym, strength and conditioning, that are doing the things necessary for recovery, all those guys are the ones that are gonna take that next step and excel. So, yeah, that's a good point.
The recruiting class is kind of unfolded, and I've gotten to talk to all these kids that are committed, and especially the other offensive linemen that A&M's recruiting or has got committed. they're all talking about Coach Adazio and the impact Coach Adazio is playing in their recruitment. So just kind of speak to your relationship with Coach Adazio, how it's grown, and maybe how it's progressed to where it is now from where it was when he first came in.
My first junior day, my first true visit to A&M, it was also his first day. We were kind of both trying to feel out the place, but ever since then, it's just been amazing. He's one of the most genuine coaches I think I've ever met, and he really understands and wants to better you for the game. He's not there to get a new job. I think he's there because he wants to be there, and he wants to develop some great offensive linemen. So over the years, we've kind of just become closer and closer, and obviously being committed for so long, you get to know someone really well, and I just think it's going to be really good going into the next season and obviously for the future.
Have you gotten to speak to and gotten to know any of the current offensive linemen? And if so, kind of how's that relationship built since your time being committed?
Yeah, especially since my OV, I got to know really all of them. Colton Thomason, Deuce Father, Brendan Stripton, and I got to say, some of the best group of guys I've ever been around. They all are super focused on what they want to do and where they want to go in life. And I think it's really to speak to how Coach Adazio is running the program and Coach Fisher's running the program. I think it's really heading in a good direction.
This receiver group as a whole, I think, getting a lot of accolades in the preseason. But one of my big points on the show today has been what happens if Aniyah Smith and Evan Stewart and Moose Muhammad play the way we expect them to play, and also Noah Thomas is the guy that we've heard so much about. You start looking at that receiver room, CT, and really dreaming on a big future.
Yeah, and I think I said it back in the spring that I think behind Ohio State, this could be the next best receiver room in the country. You mentioned Aniyas and Moose and then Evan Stewart. Those guys have made big plays. In the conference, they've shown that they can be something to be contended with, and they've done a great job. But then you start adding that name, Noah Thomas. You get a guy like Micah Tees. You get those types of guys in, and they can stretch the field and have those big bodies. And so there are multiple options there that A&M is going to have, an opportunity to stretch the field and make big plays. And so I'm cautiously optimistic to see what Jimbo and Petrino have put together and how they're going to utilize those guys. But I think they've put themselves in a great position to be able to have a ton of options and guys that if you get the ball into their hands early, they can go make big plays for you and really take some of that pressure off that O-line and off Connor to start the season.
Is the depth of the route tree for guys like Aniyas and Evans solely contingent upon the five guys up front? Because if you go back and you look at Aniyas has had some big plays down the field. He's been here for quite a while. But a lot of Evans' work last year was done within 7 to 10 yards of the line of scrimmage, a lot of quick game stuff. And obviously that plays to his suits, right? He's so quick in and out of his breaks. But are you expecting a more vertical approach with Coach Petrino as long as those five guys up front can hold up?
Yeah, and I hope so, and I think when you have you have secondaries that really have to adjust and be mindful of you being able to stretch the field vertically. That opens up so many other things, the tight ends. It opens up the run game a lot more. So,
all right, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Click that like button, click that follow button on TexAgs YouTube. Help that algorithm out, help us out a little bit. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Not David. We don't want David back. I'm kidding. We do want David back. Dalton be here tomorrow, Nick on Thursday. David will be back on Friday. That's the Rewind.